Hello, I want to talk about the last episode of Gypsy Rose's Life After Lockup. Gypsy and Ryan were sitting on the couch and they were unboxing all this stuff that Gypsy had purchased for this dog that she plans to get. She got treats, she got toys, she got those dog training clickers that you click and then you tell the dog a command and then that you give them a treat. And it seems like she's all set and prepared for this dog. And Ryan said he's still not so keen on the idea of getting a dog, but I think Gypsy laid on that baby voice real thick, and Ryan's a sucker for Gypsy's baby voice, and he gave in. Ryan's dad abandoned him as a child, so he never really felt like he had that full family aspect like a lot of people do. So he feels like this is his chance to finally make the family he wants, and he's actually looking forward to it. So while Ryan and Gypsy are heading to go get this puppy, Gypsy's dad and stepmom are back at their house and they're talking about the whole Ken situation. So Gypsy's dad was like, look, I don't appreciate you telling Gypsy that Ken's trying to get a hold of her, because pretty much you opened that door for Ken and that door needs to stay bolted shut, and you're the one that's getting in between this marriage when she's with Ryan, and Ryan's not happy at all. And Chrissy's like, look, I know Ryan's not happy about that, but you know what, he has had all these things said about him. She brought up the podcast where Gypsy and Ryan were talking about Ken, and she's like, now he wants his voice to be heard. But it's not just about his voice being heard, because he's telling Gypsy that he misses her, he's single, he wants to get back with her. So it's more than just that. The only reason that Ken was brought up in that podcast is because Christy told Gypsy that Ken had been reaching out to her and sniffing around. So Christy was the one that made that happen. She's constantly getting in between Ryan and Gypsy's marriage, and Gypsy's dad seems like the only one with common sense here. He's like, look, I don't want you getting involved because I do not want you or me getting blamed for what Gypsy's doing. If she wants to run back to Ken, let her do that, and she can take responsibility for that. Christy said, well, I'm friends with all my exes, and I mean, I'm friends with most of my exes too, but I'm not friends with any of my exes that still want to bang me and get in between my marriage, and that's the difference here. She is actively opening a door so Gypsy can cheat on her husband, and that is not right, no matter how you try to slice it. If it was just about the closure, like she keeps claiming it's about, then she would have just been like, okay, yeah, he said he just wanted you to be happy and be the best version of yourself, so that's why he left you. And she would have left it at that. She wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, by the way, Ken's single, he wants to get back with you, he misses you. Telling Gypsy all that is not closure. It's just going to make her even more confused. And like Ryan pointed out, Gypsy doesn't have a lot of life experience, and her mother's not here, so she looks at other people and really values their opinion, like her stepmom Christy. And when Christy says something or says, you know, maybe you should go talk to him, Gypsy's really going to be influenced by her when she says something like that or tells her about how great Ken is. I can guarantee you, if someone came to Rod and was like, hey, you know, your ex, you know, the one with the big boobs and the flat stomach that you said was your soulmate? Yeah, she said she misses you and she's single. I'm pretty sure Christy would not appreciate that one bit. Then we get to see Gypsy and Ryan finally pick up their puppy. They named the dog Pixie, and the dog was absolutely adorable. And then we see Gypsy ask Ryan if she can go hang out with her sister. So her sister and her, you know, they talked a lot on the phone and in letters, but it's not like they spent a lot of time together in person. So Gypsy wants to try to get to know her sister better. And even though her sister is 10 years younger than her, Gypsy feels like she's more of like an older sister to her, because Gypsy's still like, she reminds me of a teenager even though she's in her 30s. And even her dad has said it, that she's making like teenager decisions where she's at in life right now because she's not very experienced. So she goes and she hangs out with her sister. They go and get a mani and pedi, and while they're in the car on the way to the salon, Gypsy's talking about her nose job that she plans to get. Then they pull up at this salon, and while they're getting their nails done, Gypsy is spilling all the tea about how her marriage with Ryan has been behind the scenes. She's like, when you live with someone, you really learn a lot about them. You truly don't know someone until you live with them. And that's why I've been saying time and time again, I do not understand why people rush to marry people before living with them, or at least spending a lot of time with them in person, because Gypsy had no idea who Ryan was. He was just putting on the mask that she wanted to see when he was going and visiting her. And she's like, look, he snores like a freaking grizzly bear to the point that I had to wear earplugs. He's a hoarder, and I hate hoarders because of my mom, and it stresses me out. Then Gypsy brings up the fact that her stepmom, Christy, had told her that Ken had been trying to reach out to her. And even her sister was like, I don't know why Christy did that. And Gypsy was like, I kind of appreciated it. I needed the closure. And then her sister was like, well, would you take Ken back? And she's like, no. The sister was like, that doesn't sound very assuring. It kind of sounds like, you would get back with Ken. And Gypsy was like, no. And one thing Gypsy knows how to do is say what she needs to say to make herself look as good as possible. Like she's saying, oh no, I won't go back to Ken, when in reality she's thinking about, oh my god, I can't wait till me and Ryan get in a fight so I can go run off and finally see Ken. Gypsy was just so giddy, and you could tell she was loving the fact that she had Ken's attention again. And you could just tell that this girl is head over heels in love with Ken. The way she was smiling while she was talking about him, it was so obvious. She does not get that excited when she talks about Ryan. And then she told her sister, oh yeah, also I forgot to tell you that, yeah, me and Ryan kind of had something happen. And the sister's like, what? And I thought she was going to be like, yeah, we got a dog. But no, she told her sister that Ryan let his swimmers off inside her, pretty much came inside her. And now she's scared that there's a possibility that she could get pregnant. And the sister was like, oh my god, like, are you even trying to have a baby right now? You're trying to get a nose job and you have this appointment planned, but if you get knocked up, you can't have your nose job. What are you thinking? This just shows like how impulsive Gypsy is. She doesn't think things through. She's just like having a little kiki and a caca over the fact that he pretty much came inside her, but she's not thinking like, look, we could have a baby. And she's just telling Ryan that she's not ready to get married or have a baby, yet they're doing things that could cause them to have a baby. And the sister was like, have you thought about taking the Plan B pill? Gypsy had not thought about it at all, and it seemed like she didn't really know what a Plan B pill was and that she had that option. And the sister was like, yeah, there's this pill you can take for up to 72 hours after he gets off inside you, and it's only been a few days. So she's like, why don't we just go ahead and buy you one? You got the money, it doesn't hurt, because it's not worth gambling and hoping, oh, I hope I don't get pregnant, because this might be the one time that you do end up pregnant. And Gypsy decided to go get the pill, but she's like, I should probably call Ryan first. And she called Ryan, and Ryan did not seem that happy at all that she's getting the Plan B pill. At this point, I think he's just trying to knock her up and trap her in this marriage. That's what I think. Like, yes, they're married, but she's clearly made it obvious to him that she does not want to have a baby, and here he's still getting off inside her. But she also needs to be a responsible adult too. She needs to put her foot down and tell him to stop getting off inside her. And I really think that it'd be best for her to go get on the birth control pill or even get on the birth control shot. Just imagine if she went and got the birth control shot and came home and told Ryan, like, look, I got this shot. Now I can't get pregnant for the next 5 years. He would probably be so livid. But she decided to go get the plan B, and Ryan didn't seem too happy when she told him on the phone, but he really didn't say much. But once Gypsy got home, oh, Ryan was pissed. And the camera crew was no longer there, so Gypsy whipped out her phone and started recording Ryan. And Ryan's like, look, I don't think that's appropriate to be telling your sister that I got off inside you. And, you know, some people say that they don't agree with Gypsy telling her family her business like that. It's TMI, it's inappropriate. I disagree. My personal opinion, this is just my opinion, I feel like she did what was best in that situation because, like Ryan said, she does not have a lot of experience in life, so she looks at other people for answers, and I feel like that's what she was doing with her sister, because I really feel like she did not even know that that was an option or how easy it could be just to get the Plan B pill. And Ryan has already complained about having to raise a puppy by himself. How would he feel if him and Gypsy were raising a child by themselves? You can tell that Gypsy does not fully think things through, so I think it is very important for her to have people in her life that will help think things through for her and tell her her options. Like, I think she really needs to get her a counselor. I think she said she's been seeing a counselor on the show, but I hope that she's being fully transparent with her counselor so they can tell her things when she doesn't fully think things through. But I'm glad that her family is also doing that for her, and I think that Ryan's just upset because he knew that he could not trap her. Just with how impulsive Gypsy is, I think that it's best for her to get a second opinion, especially with how it seems like she doesn't take a lot of things that should be taken seriously, very seriously. Like, I was just talking about in my last video, someone pointed out it seems like she doesn't take marriage seriously and just treats it like it's nothing because she's already in the process of divorcing Ryan and is already talking about marrying Ken when she just saw how rushing to get married worked out for her with Ryan. And it seemed like she was treating having a baby the same way, like it was nothing, like it's no big deal. So I'm glad that she has loved ones to let her know how big of a deal it really can be and how much of a life-changing event and big responsibility it is. And Gypsy, you know, I really don't like how she tried to turn it around when Ryan was telling her how upset he was. Because actually, I thought that she was right in the situation. But then she's like, I don't like how you're trying to manipulate the situation. And Ryan was like, what? How am I manipulating the situation? He's like, you're trying to tell me who I can talk to, just like my mother used to do with my dad. And I didn't like how she said that. I felt like she was manipulating the situation in that moment. I feel like this is going to be a common thing with Gypsy. When she doesn't get her way, she's going to try to bring up something about her mom and feel like she's being treated like her mom. Because this is the second or third time we've seen Gypsy do something like this season. And she tries to do it to manipulate her way out of a situation. And I didn't really like that too much when she did that. But then she got in the car with Ryan and they were driving somewhere. I can't remember exactly where they're going, but while they're in the car, she's on her phone and she's texting, and Ryan is hovering over her shoulder the whole time looking at her phone when his eyes should be on the road. And he was like looking at her phone for like a couple minutes straight. And if that was her, I would have been like, excuse me. But after a couple minutes, he was finally like, who are you texting? And she's like, babe, I'm just texting my sister. My sister texts me. I'm texting her back. And Ryan was like, okay. And then he continues driving, and Gypsy keeps texting, and it looked like she was still texting that same exact text message. And he hovers over her shoulder once again. who are you texting? And he's like getting closer and closer. He starts putting his finger on her phone and like getting in the way of her texting and interrupting her. And it was just doing way too much when the girl said over and over again she was texting her sister. Let her text her freaking family. And he had to ask her like 5 times, who is that? Who's that? And she's like, it's still my sister. Like, yes, I understand Gypsy gives Ryan a reason to be insecure by constantly bringing up Ken and the fact that her stepmom says that Ken misses her and wants to get back with her. You know, that will get in somebody's head quickly. But at the same time, when she tells you the first time she's texting her sister, then freaking leave it alone. You gotta literally read every word by word of her text message. I did not understand that, and that is way too controlling and doing way too much. Ryan tried to make an excuse for it on TikTok and say, well, we were having a conversation in the car, but she was just all up in her phone. Well, she's been out of prison, and it's her first time having a phone. She's filming all the freaking time. She finally gets the time to sit down in the car, and that's usually when I catch up on my messages too. Like when I'm in the car and my man's driving, I'll sit there and be on my social media, catch up on my messages. It should not be a freaking big deal like Ryan's making out to be. He's gonna sit here and be so freaking insecure that he's gonna push her right back into Ken's arms. She's already told him a million times she does not like all that hovering shit. And here he is hovering right over her when he should be focusing on driving. And if you cannot trust your girl the first 5 times she says she's texting her sister, then maybe you should just be single. But that is it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Check out my lashes at AccordingtoAmber.com. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.